I'm looking to see what the Pro Bowl has going on. Maybe I'm not really expecting much from the Pro Bowl this year, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm gonna give people a couple of minutes to get in here before I dive deep into the topic I want to talk about today. See if I can find the Pro Bowl on my TV. What's going on, Piping? I guess that's how you pronounce it, Piping. You can let me know if I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, I don't want Kafka to go out of those two. I have an actual topic about it, but I definitely don't want Kafka to go. But I have not seen any of this Pro Bowl stuff so far. I haven't seen any like Pro Bowl competitions. I've seen clips, but so far I guess their Pro Bowl thing isn't a success because I haven't been looking for it. I have not been looking for it. See, we got two in here now. I'll give people some time. Like I said, it's kind of short notice before I get into the first topic. Let's see what we got up. But some crazy stuff going on. I mean, we cannot really, what a Giants thing to have to go through. We finally have our first good season and forever, and they want to take all of our assistant coaches. Like they want to take all of our assistant coaches the first year we have a good season. I mean, it's just like how could you be more unfair and just I see we got 11 in here now, so I'm gonna start diving into stuff. But how unfair is it that they are targeting our assistant coaches literally the year we finally have a good season? We couldn't have 2 years of having a good season first. We don't even know if these other teams don't even know how these systems look in their second, third years before they're going out and just grabbing these guys. Wink is one thing; he's been in here forever, but literally not Wink Martindale. Mike Kafka just called plays this year, and he's with an offensive head coach, and he's getting all of these interviews, and it looks like he's going to get hired. What's going on, Big Blue in the Bronx? I have not seen. I have not seen any of the Senior Bowl stuff. I didn't. I haven't seen. I've seen the practices, but I have not seen the Senior Bowl game. I'll have to eventually go back and see it, but I have not seen the Senior Bowl game. I'm pretty sure I've seen people be able to come away with that game and take the all 22 from it. I'm not sure if I can find that, but I will definitely go back and watch the Senior Bowl actual game. But it looks like we got 10 in here. I don't know how many more will join, but I'll just get into the first topic. So, who is more likely to end up coaching another team? That's something that we got to look at here. Because if you look at Wink Martindale, he's in the second round of the Colts job, who they still don't have a head coach. And Mike Kafka is in the second round with the Cardinals. And the Cardinals is between Lou Anarumo, which is the Bengals defensive coordinator, which has really turned that defense around, and then Mike Kafka. And it makes you think Lou is probably the more qualified coach, but he's not an offensive coach. So the Cardinals do something that literally no other team is doing and go after a defensive guy, or do they just hire an offensive guy? We'll see. But huge stuff, man. Like we cannot really afford to lose either one of those guys. I mean, we can. We got the head coach, I believe, but it's not going to be all that helpful to have to move forward because if you lose Wink, you better hope that you can keep the guys behind him there on this roster and he doesn't take them because if not, you're changing the whole defense. And the same thing with the offense. I mean, if you don't get to keep Shea Tierney or you don't promote him or you go out and get another guy at offensive coordinator, you're probably not going to be able to go out and you're just probably not going to be able to go out and build on this offense. You're going to have to probably teach a new playbook. So, what do you guys think down in the comments? I'm using this Opus software. Give me a second. I tried the poll last time. We had a couple of issues, but what I'll do this time is I will drop the video comment link down here. Let's see if I can do that. I will drop the video comment. I'll say, what coach, this will be my next topic. What coach can we least afford to lose? Okay. Save changes. Copy this link. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this link. It's also going to be on the screen. You can scan it with your phones, but I'm going to post this link in the chat. And what you guys can do is click on this link, or you can scan the QR code and you can leave an actual video comment. The video comment will post up here on the screen and I'll respond to that video comment. So really cool feature I haven't been able to test out. So if anybody has the guts, listen, you don't even have to put your face on the video. You can just record your voice and just pop on and give your opinion on this. And the question is, which coach can we not afford to lose the most between Wink Martindale and Mike Kafka? So if you guys want to weigh in, definitely do that. But I'm gonna touch on my opinion of it. I think between these two coaches, I think the better coach is Wink Martindale. I think the better coach by far is Wink Martindale. And this isn't taking anything away from Mike Kafka, but Wink Martindale brings the most value at that position. At that assistant coach position. I think he's they talk about him as as if he's a head coach of the defense. Mike Kafka, I don't think he has that leadership quality down yet so far, but the X's and O's, they got better and better as the year went on. So between those two, I think Wink is a better coach. Wink adds a ton of value, but at the same time, offense is more important in this league. And we cannot afford especially if we bring back Daniel Jones, we cannot afford for us to have to bring in a guy who has a different system than Mike Kafka and is calling plays and has a different philosophy than Kafka. Then we're going to have to switch up the offense again. But then again, remind yourself that this is Daboll's offense. This is Daboll's offense with the sprinkle of Kansas City. So it's a good discussion. It's a good discussion. There's arguments on both sides. Definitely arguments on both sides. But do we have confidence that Brian Daboll can call plays and be a good head coach at the same time? We had some game management issues this past year. Not to say he was a bad coach, but we had some game management issues this year. We had a couple of decision issues this year. So do we trust him to be that good coach that he is right now and take on play calling duties? Or do you give the play calling duties to Shea Tierney? And Shea Tierney has never called plays. Mike Kafka's never called plays either before this year, but Shea Tierney hasn't done it. What's the chance that we strike gold twice, 2 years in a row? It's a lot to think about. So let's touch on some of the comments. I'm tired of teams trying to take our coaches. Listen, New York is the biggest curse. New York has got to be the biggest curse because any type of success that you have here is going to be overblown. Any type of failure you have here is going to be overblown. So the moment the Giants had a good season, anybody that did that was going to be a hot name, sadly. Sean Johnson says, Wink. Sean Johnson. I doubt you're related to this person, but you have the same name as that Olympic gymnast, Sean Johnson. If Sean Johnson has been in this chat, the Olympic gymnast, all this time, that would be crazy. Wink and Dave will have great camaraderie. I see that too. It seems like they have that same kind of camaraderie as Joe Judge and Patrick Graham had, except they're better coaches. Piping P Lover says, we can't lose Wink. Dexter Lawrence shines in his first year with them. Defense had Wink's personality in the red zone and third down. Want to see Kayvon take off next year. That is something that you definitely got to think about too. Does Does Dexter Lawrence take a step back in Wink's defense? Does does our red zone defense get worse? Does our third down defense get worse? Because our those defenses were really good. But then at the same time, the defense had some serious struggles at times this year because of the talent. But Dexter Lawrence, man, I do not want Andre Patterson leaving with Wink Martindale. But you got to think he's taking somebody. You got to think he either takes Andre Patterson. You got to think he might take Drew Wilkins, who's been with Wink for like 12 plus years in Baltimore. Before this, he probably would want him to come on and be the defensive coordinator if he wants a defensive coordinator. We could lose multiple key guys. Why I always forget our defensive back coach's name, Jerome Henderson. He's a guy that you probably would look at as maybe you want him to be the defensive coordinator, or maybe Wink liked him so much that he makes him his defensive coordinator if we don't. Defense had Wink personally. I already read that comment. Najee says he wants Wink. He wants Dable to call plays, and that makes sense. And we all wanted Dable to call plays when he first got here. Like that was why we got him. That was what we wanted him to do. Some Bills fans say they like his plays, they like the designs of his plays, but they don't like his play calling, especially situational play calling. I'll leave that up to when it happens, if he ends up calling plays. But if not, that could be an issue for us. Let's see, we got another comment down here. Nova says, like I said, I really hope both coordinators, I hope we can keep both coordinators. I feel like Wink is more vital, but I don't like, I think you said like Jones, or maybe you meant love. I don't love Jones having yet another offense coordinator. 100%. Because you got to think if Shea Tierney steps up and he's the offensive coordinator, and then Davis Webb becomes the quarterback coach, you're probably not changing that much because Shea probably keeps a lot of the Kansas City stuff that was in that offense. So does Dable. And then you keep Davis Webb, who's already kind of like a quarterback coach already. So that probably would be the path of least resistance. But some people are wanting the Giants to go out and get an experienced offensive coordinator. So that means that if you're going out and doing that, you're bringing in a new offense, or at least a new element to the offense that we already have. It's just that simple. So that means you're learning a new offense. That means you're learning at least a new half of a playbook. And that's one thing, Piping. I mean, this defense was good in spots. And you definitely say like the only reason they were good in spots is because of Wink and the way that our players were used and the fact that we have Dexter Lawrence and those guys across that front line. But there were serious issues on defense as well. And you can say that's because of talent. I don't think it was because of scheme. I think it was because of talent. But we made the playoffs with the defense this bad. So you got to think even if we switch defenses, we probably still have as good a defense or a little bit better defense than we did last year, just because I think we'll address the linebacker spot. I think we'll address the cornerback spot. I think we'll address probably safety depth. I think we need some backup defensive tackles. And Nick Williams was a guy that was good. DJ Davidson was good last year. They'll come back healthy. Darian Beavers, at the very least, will be good linebacker depth. So I think the defense as a whole will be better next year. It's just about, could they take a huge next step and be elite with Wink, or do they take a half step back with a new defensive coordinator? And Nova, that's what I'm looking for, to keep Drew Wilkins, who's been with Wink forever. And I think if you want to keep the same defense, you got to keep Drew Wilkins. But you got to also think that Wink wants to take Drew Wilkins. I think defense will improve. I'm positive about how it looked last year also. Yeah, should improve. D-Bone says they're staying. Hopefully they do stay. They both in their second interviews. Would they turn down if they got offered a job, it's possible. But you got to think if they're in their second interview, they're taking it pretty serious. Really hoping Beavers can come back strong from the ACL and learn fast, as he will still be pretty inexperienced. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are expecting Beavers to come back and save the day, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. And even if he was that good, he's coming off an ACL, like you just said. All right. Let's see. What topic are we on now? And again, if you're just joining, the QR code on the screen is for you to be able to scan and be able to leave your opinion on who we cannot afford to lose as a Giants coordinator. If Giants coordinators lose, we will hire good replacements. I hope. I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I think Dable knows what he's doing, and I think once you got the head coach, everything else kind of falls into place. I think he'll find good guys. I think he's already started developing coaches just in case something like this would happen. But you probably wanted 2 years for some of these assistant coaches to do things. So D-Bone says we can't afford to lose Wink. You think that's the guy we can't afford to lose the most? And like I said, neither answer is really wrong because some things we did on defense. Now, if you look at the overall numbers and everything like that, it is what it is. The defense wasn't like top 10 or top 5 or top 8 or anything like that. But once you start to look at the situational numbers, third down, the red zone, I mean, that's all Wink. That's all Wink. Like, that's all Wink. And no defensive coordinator really coaches like him. The only defense coordinator that kind of coaches like him is Spags, but he's obviously not going anywhere. But nobody's blitzing anywhere close to the amount of the time that Wink is blitzing. Meanwhile, they're showing this flag football Pro Bowl. How many of you guys are watching this Pro Bowl where they're playing flag football? I don't even know what channel this is on. But Pro Bowl is crazy. They're going to have to do away with it. I don't think the players like it either. Need linebackers in the middle. That's the number one need on this team, I think. I really believe that's the number one need on this team. I think we have to address, if you shoot for the moon and you get Tremaine Edmonds, great. I mean, great. But if you don't get Tremaine Edmonds, you got to get a solid starting linebacker. You got to get a solid starter linebacker. And then on top of that, I think you need to draft a linebacker in the draft. Now, maybe if you get a guy who you really think is a good starter, then you don't draft a linebacker in the first round or second round, but you still got to get one in the top 3 rounds, I think, because that was a glaring hole for the Giants. It was laughable how bad our linebacker plays were. Just draft good players and keep the culture. Players like Saquon. Yeah, man. Last week we were talking about bringing back Saquon and Daniel Jones. I really am starting to think this, and this is just me just kind of going off on a limb. I wouldn't put too much credence into what I'm going to say, but I think that Dable and Shane will start to think just a little bit about their plans with Daniel Jones and Saquon based on if Kafka leaves or not. I really think if Kafka leaves, I really think they'll start to kind of question if they want to put Daniel Jones in another system. And this isn't me saying that they don't bring back Daniel Jones, but this is me saying that there is one less edge, one less reason for you to say we need to bring back Daniel Jones, because it's not going to be a second year in the offense. Maybe if you count just Dable, it is. But other than that, they're going to have to try to keep things as similar as they possibly can, which is the good thing that we don't have a defensive coach and we didn't have the success. Because if Joe Judge, a lot of people are mad because a couple of years Joe Judge wanted to bring Brian Dable in as offensive coordinator. The Bills blocked it. But if Joe Judge had brought in Brian Dable as offensive coordinator and Daniel Jones played well, Brian Dable would have been gone at the end of that year. We would have never had Brian Dable. He'd be done. Forgot the Pro Bowl was even on. Pro Bowl in quotations. Offensive line or wide receiver, best available. Who's ever on the big board. Edmonds coming to the Giants. I'd love to see that. That would solve a lot of problems. Davis Webb would step in. No brainer there, right? I think Davis Webb would be your quarterback coach. I think he would start off as a quarterback coach, and his next step somewhere will probably be offensive coordinator. You're saying Chase? What do you mean by that? Chase Chase who? Let me know what you mean, D-Bone. Chase who? Let's see. So this kind of leads me to think who the replacements will be for the Giants. I was thinking that we got guys that would we got guys that would step in on our own roster. Oh, Chase Edmonds. Oh, I meant yeah, I meant Tremaine Edmonds. And that's what I think he meant too. So I'll read off some of these offensive coordinator candidates. Pretty sure Mike LaFleur got hired already. Frank Reich, of course, got hired. Cliff Kingsbury, pretty sure he didn't get hired, but he bought a ticket to Thailand. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. Scott Turner was the Commanders coordinator. So there's not many external coordinators that you're thinking like, oh, we need to go out and get this guy. We need to go out and there's not really much out there to say like we need to sign this guy unless Dable likes some assistant coach on the Bills. Maybe it's like a quarterback coach on the Bills that he likes there. But I'm thinking what my bet is if Kafka gets hired to the Cardinals, you're going to see Shea Tierney getting pretty much immediately promoted offensive coordinator. I don't know how the Rooney Rule works there. I don't know if you have to still interview guys. If it's a promotion, I'm pretty sure you do. But I'm actually pretty sure that sadly you'll probably see a person of color. You'll probably see a coach on our roster that'll just have like a mandatory Rooney Rule interview, and then they'll bring in a guy from outside, and then the next thing you know, they'll hire Shea Tierney, and he'll be the offensive coordinator. And he may not call plays. He may just put together the game plan, and Dable might call plays for a year, or he might just keep it. But Shea Tierney will probably be our offensive coordinator because think about it, guys. The Cardinals literally have to choose between a guy who's a very, very good defensive coordinator, like really good coordinator. Yeah, I mean, like they have to pick between that guy and a guy who they believe is an offensive guru. Because if they didn't believe that he was an offensive guru, they wouldn't be going out there to interview him like this. So if they feel like their problem right now is that they need a guy to connect with their quarterback on a one-to-one level, and he needs to stop being spoiled and all these things that are going around about Kyler Murray, then you got to think they lean towards the offensive guy. Hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe Kafka turns down the job. Maybe Lou Anaromo. Maybe he's just a great candidate and they just keep him. But it's starting to look like Wink, we might have a shot. He's a defensive guy. That's just how it is. This league does not hire defensive coordinators the same way they hire offensive guys. But as far as Kafka, it looks like in the year that he pretty much is just getting his feet wet, he's getting a head coaching interview. What have you seen from the players as far as what have you seen from the players as far as like Kafka is such a great leader. Kafka is blah blah blah. Kafka is this. I haven't seen them. I've seen them talk about how good of an offensive mind Kafka is. I've seen all of that stuff, but I haven't seen like Kafka's a great leader. Like the intangibles, I think Kafka's still developing that as a coach. That's just my opinion, but I think he would probably need to do what he's doing for another year before I would hire him as an external team. So let's see. I'm trying to find the other candidates for the Colts job. Let's see. Second in-person interview. I think he had a Zoom interview, and now he has an in-person interview. He's had two. He's had one Zoom interview and second in-person interview. So I cannot find who else is in that search. Second round. I'm gonna let you guys keep throwing stuff in the chat. I'm gonna look to see who else is in the second round of the Colts interview process. And Lions defensive coordinator in the second round interview went really well. I highly doubt that the Lions defensive coordinator will get a job over Wink Martindale. Jeff Saturday is a finalist. D'Amico Ryans has already pulled out. This is an old article. Why can't I just find an up-to-date article? Shane Steichen, Eagles offensive coordinator. So it looks like from what I'm seeing that the Colts job is probably between Wink, Jeff Saturday, and the Eagles offensive coordinator. It looks like it's between those three. It looks like that'll be the three guys that it's between. Now, for some reason, they love Jeff Saturday. I don't understand why. He was a head coach for a high school football team, and then he just became all of a sudden like not even like from an assistant coach. He just all of a sudden just got promoted to head coach from being like a consultant to the team to being head coach all of a sudden mid-season. And now for some reason he is hopefully they hire Jeff Saturday. Hopefully they do. Because Kayvon doesn't even know who Jeff Saturday is. So hopefully they hire that dude. Man, it will really stink if it really suck if Stable starts losing his staff after 1 year. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's tough to build continuity if guys are just going to take your coaches after 1 year you playing well. And I agree. I just think that Kafka needs one more year, but same thing. Why would he turn down his job? You got to think that Kyler Murray has a ton of talent, and if Kafka has any sort of self-confidence, he's like, I got the quarterback figured out. The quarterback can make a lot of plays with his legs. That just the quarterback in general will make you feel like you can succeed there. It's not like he has to go out and get a quarterback, not like he has to go out and hope that a quarterback plays well. I think Kafka can get good play out of Kyler Murray. It's just about if he can lead the rest of the team. That's the question. Because he's literally been an offensive coordinator for 1 year. That's it. Yeah, we just got to hope that Irsay wants Saturday. We got to just hope that Irsay wants Saturday. Then you have to think if Kafka leaves, he's taking the quarterback coach too. I think it'll be up to Shea Tierney to stay or leave. And I'm pretty sure that Shea Tierney his loyalty will be to Brian Dable. I think Shea Tierney will rather be the offensive coordinator here than with Kafka. That's just my opinion because Shea Tierney came up in Dable's system. Now, maybe he says I need to go out and be on my own and be with a different offensive philosophy be with a different offensive mind. Maybe he believes that is what he needs to do to be able to take that next step. But I think Shea Tierney would stay here. Pretty sure he would stay here just because of the familiarity. He knows the offense in and out. Uh, the Giants will probably pay him a bunch of money to stay here. I think he would stay here. There goes the money. All right. So it just would be it would be annoying to lose both of those guys. I just think we need to keep one. Nasir says, "Who's a replacement if Martindale leaves?" Let's see if I can find some defensive guys who are out of practice or without a job right now, who just kind of got caught in the crossfire. Um, they show me a 10-year-old article from they showed me a 10-year-old article from Bleacher Report. Wow. Eric DeCosca, Michael Lombardi. Yeah, I'm not looking for these guys at GM. This is a 10-year-old article. All right, defensive coordinators. Ejiro Evero, defensive coordinator for the Broncos, looks like he got fired. He did get fired along with the head coach. Ejiro Evero, defensive coordinator for the Broncos, first in points and allowed, second in yards, second in EPA prior to joining the Broncos. Okay, came from the Rams. So that is Ejiro Evero, defensive coordinator for the Broncos that got fired this season because the head coach was bad. So that's a guy that could be an option for us. He has been a assistant coach at UC Davis, Tampa Bay Buccaneers quality control defensive guy, University of Redlands special teams coordinator, defensive backs coach, 49ers defensive assistant and offensive assistant, Packers quality control guy, safeties coach for the Rams, secondary coach, and then defensive coordinator for the Broncos. So he's got a solid resume. Mike Zimmer is a consultant at Jackson State. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to head over to Colorado State with Deion Sanders. Pretty sure that's what he's going to do. So maybe he'd say, I'm going to leave Deion Sanders and go be defensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer is another mastermind, like experienced, really, really good defensive coordinator. And if he comes back and turns the Giants defense around, he probably could get another head coaching job next year. So that's a guy who I would not mind being defensive coordinator. He is, the dude was the Cowboys defensive coordinator in the 90s. Everywhere he's been really, really good as a defensive coordinator. Head coach, a little bit different. Jim Schwartz. No thanks on Jim Schwartz. I do not want Jim Schwartz here, but he's a guy who's had success. Jim Schwartz. Isn't that the guy that was on the Eagles? Yeah, Jim Schwartz is a guy that's had some success too, but he's also had some serious issues as a defensive coordinator. So we don't know which Jim Schwartz we'll get. If we get the good Jim Schwartz, that'll be great. If not, then no. Wasn't a good head coach, or wasn't the best head coach, but he's a guy I wouldn't be mad with. Eric Washington is a senior defensive assistant for the defensive line for the Bills. That's a guy, of course, we would probably consider, but he runs a 4-3. And you got to think with this defense, you don't want to align and hire a whole defensive coordinator based on one player, but you want to make sure that Dexter Lawrence stays at nose. So you probably want to run a 3-4. Jim Leonard, interim head coach, University of Wisconsin. Not really familiar with the Wisconsin defense. Not really familiar with them, but looks like a good hire. Don't know if it'll be good for us. Gerard Mayo, linebackers coach for the Patriots. He's a guy that Dable is probably connected with. And Vic Fangio, old defensive coordinator for the Broncos, another guy who was a good defensive coordinator. So it looks like there's a bunch of defensive coordinator names that the Giants would be able to pick from. And it looks like there's probably only internal things that you could do for offensive coordinator. Because as far as offensive coordinator, the pickings are slim. Pickings are definitely slim for offensive coordinator. Let's see if we got anything in the chat. And again, so I see the chat is slowing down a little bit. Could promote Patterson. Patterson is a guy who really deserves to be coordinator. He really deserves it. He's been an assistant forever. I don't think he's ever gotten a shot at being defensive coordinator. Let's look at Andre Patterson. This is a guy that's been coaching for like 30 something years. He might not even be a guy that wants to be a defensive coordinator. The guy is 62 years old. He'll be 63 this year. He has been started off as a grad assistant in Montana college, worked his way through the college. He was a head coach at a high school. And then defensive line coach, Weber State, Western Michigan D coordinator. So he was a D coordinator in Western Michigan. UTEP, he was a defensive coordinator for 2010 to 2012. Other than that, a bunch of D-line coach stuff, assistant head coach, defensive line coach for FIU 2013. Then he was a Vikings defensive line coach, co-defensive coordinator in 2020, and co-defensive coordinator in 2021. So he basically was defensive coordinator. For the Vikings because they had Mike Zimmer there. So Mike Zimmer was the defensive coordinator / head coach, and the next guy up was Andre Patterson. So that's a guy. That's a guy we could look at. I think he's got a ton of experience, and I think he's been a huge part of Dexter Lawrence turning things around. I think he's been a huge part of that. So that's a guy I do not want to lose in general. And if the defense does change, it'll be a guy that's well respected around the league and well respected in the locker room already. All right. So like I said, this topic is kind of slowing down on this one. I'm gonna open this thing up to the chat. This is just guys just relaxing on Sunday afternoon. I'm gonna type up another prompt for the video comment, and I'm just gonna just say, ask me anything about the Giants. And again, this video chat feature just seems really cool. The video question feature seems really cool. The So I'm gonna drop this in the chat as I said before. And yeah, I'm just gonna open this up to you all, see what you guys are thinking about the Giants. If you guys want, I got a ton of film. I could watch some film on here with you all for a little bit. Yeah, I'll open it up. And again, that link there is for the QR code on screen is for you all to be able to leave a video comment to ask a question. Other than that, like I said, I got film we could go over in real time. Secondary coming up this new year. Secondary. You mean secondary in free agency or secondary in the draft? Or you mean just the Giants secondary, how we're going to improve it, everything like that? Let me know what you're thinking there. In general, okay. I'll start off with the Giants secondary. We got a ton of question marks for our secondary, to be honest with you. I think McKinney is a guy that you think is solid. But do you want to pay him? If you don't want to pay him, then I'm pretty sure after this upcoming year, he's going to be a free agent. So you probably need to draft a safety to start training behind him. Um, Adoree Jackson, same thing. If you don't want to pay him after this year, you probably need a corner that's going to be able to step in after he leaves. Julian Love. Do you bring Julian Love back? Or do you say we can replace Julian Love in the draft? So we got a ton of picks. We got 2 third-round picks. We might have to go secondary twice in that third round and in the fourth round because we got a ton of guys who may be leaving after this upcoming year, and we're not sure we're going to pay him. I doubt the Giants are going to pay Adoree Jackson again. We may. He's young. But do we pay him to come back? And then you have the other issue that I've been thinking about, which is you have a ton of young corners. And on top of that, you have a ton of young corners who are question marks. It's not like these guys are bad, these guys are good. Starting off with Aaron Robinson. You got Aaron Robinson. You got Cordell Flott. 2 corners you took I think you took Flott in the 4th round. But you got Aaron Robinson and you got Flott. I believe that both of those guys have the potential to be starting corners. I believe that both of those guys have the potential to be starting corners. It's just, do you just put your blind faith in them? I don't think that's smart. Nick McLeod is a guy who is a solid starting corner. Fabian Moreau was a solid starting corner. He's not a young guy, but there's a ton of solid starting level kind of corners. But do you put your faith in Flott and Aaron Robinson to develop? Or do you just not give them the chance? Aaron Robinson, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But Flott, he just hasn't gotten a chance to get out there. So do you put your faith in Flott? Draft the corner a little bit later? Because if you do that, then, Flott could step in and you save some draft capital. And he's a good cornerback. He could be a star cornerback. Who knows? If you don't do that, then you got to take a guy, and you could be putting Flott on the bench and never seeing how good he is. Same thing with Aaron Robinson, but the thing with Aaron Robinson is he has not been able to be healthy. Let's see what we got here. Nothing else. But yeah, what do you guys think of the secondary? Do you like the direction of the secondary? For one, I think the secondary is very important as far as we have to fill up some of these gaps. But at the same time, I'm okay if we go into this season with a similar secondary to what we have now. We bring back Julian Love. We just got to sign someone who can replace Darnay Holmes. If we can get off of Darnay Holmes' contract, I would love that. He's bad. He's a good tackler, but we got to get him away from covering guys in the slot. Do you want to move him to nickelbacker? Do you want to move him to hybrid safety? Whatever we have to do to get Darnay Holmes away from covering people, I would love. But other than that, if we upgrade Darnay Holmes, I think that we have a lot to gain from that. And secondary wasn't that bad. Wasn't really that bad, even with backups in there. But I do think we could use another starting corner that's a solidified guy where you're he's going to be out there. He's going to be a starting corner at worst, a second corner in this league. Take this banner off. Wasn't Darnay Holmes considered the best slot corner in the draft? Who was in that draft? Let me look up that draft real quick. I know Darnay Holmes was at least among the top starting corners in his draft. Let me look up NFL draft 2019? Was Darnay Holmes or 2020? Let's look. See what we got that comes up. Third round. Giants took in 2019. In 2019, we forfeited our pick because that was the Sam Bill pick. So maybe it was 2018. Had to be 2020. Let's see. And if you all are typing 2020 in the chat, apologies because I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Can't see the chat. Round 3. Matt Parrott. Matt Parrott. See what's here at the top of round 3 though. Got to be somewhere over here. Where'd the Giants pick? Why don't I just look up Darnell Holmes' name and that'll clear things up? Yeah, linebacker I think is the biggest need on this entire team. Let me just look. I could have sworn I just saw Darnell Holmes' name. Okay, we took Darnell Holmes not in the 3rd round. We took him in the 4th round. For some reason, I thought Darnell Holmes was a 3rd round corner because he was taking 4 picks into the 3rd round. So Darnell Holmes was cornerback. He got taken in the 4th round. Let's look at the corners that were ahead of him that were considered slot guys. Some of these guys I don't even know where they're playing. Christian Fulton wasn't really a slot guy. He was an outside guy. Jalen Johnson is an outside guy. Jeff Gladney, pretty sure he was an outside guy. I haven't seen him play that much. Arnett was an outside guy. Is that dude even playing? I remember that dude got arrested with a bunch of crazy stuff. But yeah, Darnell Holmes was probably the best slot corner now that I look at that, as far as like coming out of the draft. But he's been bad. Yeah, if we can keep Fabian Moreau as a depth guy, like if he's your 4th corner, like after your starting guy gets hurt, if Moreau comes in there, that's great. Now, if he's there all day, it's not like he's going to be a liability, but he's not what you want. Yeah, that was my issue. Is like we had Darnell Holmes, and after Darnell Holmes got drafted, his rookie year, he was a good slot corner for us. I don't know where he fell off at, but he was a good slot corner for us in his rookie year. Now, after that rookie year, he's been terrible. But after he had that good season for us as a rookie, we drafted Aaron Robinson to be a slot corner. So I don't get what was going on there. And then people were like, who cared? People were arguing with me back and forth about Aaron Robinson was going to be whatever. It hasn't worked out. Basically, it hasn't worked out. Flott can take over the slot. My thing is, Cordell Flott might be able to take over the slot, but Flott is an outside. Flott was a slot corner in college, but his skill set and the way he plays best is an outside corner. And that's the real issue. Because the Giants were playing Flott at slot corner early on in this season, and then as things went along, they saw he could not play slot in the NFL. It just wasn't working out. He was getting beat. He wasn't making tackles. It just wasn't working out in slot in the NFL. But before we take some more stuff, I'm gonna throw something up real quick from a sponsor, and I'll be back in about a minute.
Dress. Think I might pay you a visit.
Anyone can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name, your personal email, your home address, phone number, and even your relatives. Just do a Google search for your personal information or someone that you know, name, email, phone number, and see if a people search site shows up. This information is accessible because of data brokers who profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. You can use my link, aura.com/diggy, to try 2 weeks for free and see how many data brokers are sharing your information. It's also linked in the description. You can also scan the QR code. Aura has already found my information on literally over 100 sites so far. And guess what? If they do take my identity, they'll cover me up to $1 million. They have a VPN, password manager, real time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and antivirus software. If you sign up right now with my link, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial. Go to aura.com/diggy to start your free trial now.
Woo-wee! I'm gonna finally be able to get that PS5.
All right. See if my mic is working. All right. So we back. Don't let somebody don't let somebody use your credit card to get a PS5. Definitely get Aura. If any of y'all want to support the channel, this is definitely the best way to support the channel through using one of my codes. But let's get back to this. So do we need to draft a slot? I think really we need to draft an outside corner. I think that's our issue is we have too many guys where we think, oh, just be a slot. But I was hoping that Cordell could be our slot guy, but from what I've seen this year, he's just not doing it. He's not doing it. He's just not getting it done in the slot. So I can't do it. he's Flott looked great on the outside, but in the slot, he wasn't that guy. So do we need to draft the slot? No, I talked about that. Wink's defense has to have good corners to thrive, and that's 100% correct. Wink's defense is he plays a lot of cover one. But look, what if we go out and we convert to another defense? That's why these two things that I talked about are so important as far as Wink leaving or Kafka leaving. Because if Wink leaves, what if we have a defensive coordinator that's different? They're not going to be blitzing anywhere close to amount of the time that Wink is blitzing with. They're just not going to be doing that. Like it's just not going to happen. So it might not be as important to have manned corners. We might want his own corner. And if we want zone corners, I think Darnell Holmes starts to look better as a corner too if you play zone. But Adoree Jackson is going to look worse as a zone corner. Not that much worse. He's a good all-around corner, but you guys get what I'm saying. Aaron Robinson will be a great slot corner from what I've seen. He will be very good at slot, but he's never healthy, as you just said, Tyrone. And they were playing him on the outside when he was here. When he was healthy, at least. Yeah, it shows you, man. If we were getting, what was the Eagles doing? They got 70 sacks. If we were getting 70 sacks, do you realize how many? You realize how good our corners would look? And that's the big issue. Heck, they might lose Barkley. Hope not. There's just so much in the air right now that I think the first domino is figuring out who your coordinators are going to be this year. Because if you lose one of these two guys, Wink or Kafka, you're going to have to figure that part out quickly because you're going to have scouts who are scouting these players. You're going to have the combine. You're going to want your offensive and defensive coordinators to be at this combine to scout these players. You're going to want that. So you got to go find the offensive and defensive coordinators. Then you got to think, does my offensive coordinator want this game plan to run through Saquon Barkley? If not, if we're not going to run our offense through Saquon Barkley, we're not going to use him as a receiver, and we want to go running back by committee, we probably got to go out and get a running back in the draft. And I'm not saying we need to draft one first round, but we probably need a running back that we think can start in the draft, and we probably want to bring in a vet, and we might want to keep Brightwell or keep uh, Breida, and we probably want 3 or 4 running backs that you think are good running backs, and you don't want Saquon, and you save the money there. And then maybe our new offensive coordinator says, "Listen, I'm not a guy," and I don't think this will happen, but maybe our new offensive coordinator doesn't want a quarterback like Daniel Jones. Then you go out and you have to get a quarterback in the draft. It's and again, I don't think that second option would happen, but I think it's really possible that this new offensive coordinator is a guy that is like, I think we can get offensive production from multiple running backs, and I believe that the production will come from the offensive line. So it is what it is. Did it? Did it not? Barkley ran the show. I think that's a typo right there. But you're basically saying Barkley ran the show for the first 4 or 5 weeks. He is more than a locker room leader, both on and off the field. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're not going to get any argument here. I think Saquon was definitely valuable to the team, like by far. Um, but it's just about, do you want to pay this guy 14, 15, 16 million? Because they offered him 12 and a half, which is, let me look it up. How much is Nick Chubb making per year? Because Nick Chubb had a better season than Saquon Barkley, and Nick Chubb's average salary is 12.2 million. The Giants offered Saquon 12.5, and they were not close. They were not close. So, listen, the Giants offered this guy 12.5 million, and they were not close. And shout out to Saquon putting the team on his back right there. But if they weren't close at 12.5 million, then what does he want? Like, what did you know? And again, I want Saquon back on this team, but at what price? We got to build a team. We got to get the offensive line together. We got to get a ton of things together. And the same thing I say about Daniel Jones. I mean, at what price? There's a walkaway number for both of these guys. I think the quarterback is a lot harder to replace, but the running back, if the guy's asking for 16 million or he's asking for 15 million, you can't pay a running back that much, because this guy could be the same Saquon that he was last year, and he could even be better next year. But the year after, he could be very much worse than that. Very much worse than that. And if you're paying a guy 15 million and you're doing it for 4 or 5 years, you can't get out of that. That's where you start to look like Ezekiel Elliott. That's where you start to look like Ezekiel Elliott, and you got a running back who's just collecting a paycheck, who is not the same guy. We already ran this guy into the ground this year. He's had an ACL injury. He's had a bad ankle injury. He's had a ton of stuff go wrong so far. So we got to pay him something that is not going to break the bank for this team. And I don't believe that Barkley has gotten slower, like some people have tried to say, but I do believe that in the short area, Barkley is never going to be the same running back he used to be. In 2018, you cannot tell me that Saquon Barkley was not a generational talent level running back. You just can't convince me of that. You cannot convince me that Saquon Barkley wasn't a generational level talent running back. This guy came onto the scene, his first carry in the preseason, ran for like 40 yards. His first game in the regular season, juked out three Jaguars, ran up the sideline for a touchdown. He was unstoppable as a rookie. Like, at any point, this dude could make like 5 people miss in the backfield. He still has some of that, but he does not have all of that anymore. And that's what I'm saying. When you start to see some of that go away at the running back position, you can't afford to pay the guy 15, 16 million. You just can't. And Nick Chubb to start was no way a better running back than Barkley. But right now, it's pretty much the same guy, in my opinion. Pretty much the same guy. And Nick Chubb is making 12.2. Derrick Henry's what, making like 13? Derrick Henry is making 12.5. And this is all after Ezekiel Elliott got that $14 million deal. So 12.5 is a reasonable offer, guys. We can't We cannot afford to just go beyond that and just pay him, just write a blank check. If the Giants give Saquon Barkley the tag, will he accept it? That's a good question. If I was him, I wouldn't accept it. But if I was the Giants, I would absolutely be trying to put that tag in, because guess what? You the tag is 10 million. The tag is 10 million, which is less than the 12.5 that they offered. And then on top of that, you want to tag him again, then it's 12 million or 13 million, which is still less than paying the guy 15 million a year, 16 million a year. You get 2 years out of that. And then after you tag him twice, pretty sure you can tag twice or maybe 3 times, but I'm pretty sure you might be able to tag twice. I can't remember. But either way, you get 2 more years, and by that time, he's probably gone. He's probably not the same running back. And you either bring him back on a smaller deal, which he probably won't want to sign after getting tagged twice, or you just let him walk and you go out and draft a running back whenever you want to. Let's see what else we got in the chat. I probably missed some. Barkley had 2 good seasons, 2018, 2022. Definitely right. 2019, he still looked good, but he wasn't the same. He didn't make the same impact. DJ or Barkley, who will get the tag? I've read reports that said that the Giants don't want to tag Daniel Jones. So you can take from that what you may. I look at Jones and Saquon and think about all the positions we need. Yeah, I mean, if you don't bring either one of these guys back, you could build a very, very, very good team to bring in whatever quarterback or running back you wanted to after. But I think you gotta bring one of these guys back for continuity's sake. Definitely doesn't want the tag. Nobody wants the tag, especially a running back, because a very, very you can easily tag a running back 2 times and just let them walk, which is the nastiest thing you can do as an organization. But it makes the most sense business wise, because you can literally go out and get a stable of running backs, make sure your offensive line is good, and you can you can be more productive than depending on one guy. And that's what I'm seeing too. I think it's 3 to 4 years of being a superstar type running back. Maybe he's got a little bit more after that where he's, a good running back. But no one's going to be wanting to pay Saquon Barkley 15 million or however much the equivalent to that will be in 3 or 4 years. Nobody's going to want to do that in 3 or 4 years. If Saquon had Bradshaw and Jacobs line, he would run for 18. That's the point. But that's the point that I'm saying is, and while you're saying that, I'm gonna pull that up, because let's look at 2008. Let's look at 2008 Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm pretty sure Derek Ward was still there. 2008 Giants stats, and you're proving my point here, because as good as Saquon is, and as much as he elevates that run game, if you got 3 guys that complement each other or 2 guys that complement each other, guess what? Let's look at rushing. Brandon Jacobs, 1,089 yards, 15 touchdowns. Derek Ward, 1,025 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ahmad Bradshaw, 355 yards and a touchdown. Receiving, Ahmad Bradshaw, 1 touchdown. Nobody else got a touchdown. Derek Ward had 384 yards receiving. But you see right there, you got 2,000-yard running backs. 2,000-yard running backs, rushing and receiving. Brandon Jacobs and Derek Ward. To me, that's a 2,000-yard rusher. Yeah, you're right. You're right on that. Bradshaw got hurt. Bradshaw, man. Ahmad Bradshaw has the same birthday as me. It's always been my favorite Giant. Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw. Brandon Jacobs, 835 yards. Bradshaw, 778. You got 13 touchdowns between them, 12 touchdowns between them. And then you add one more for Brandon Jacobs, 2009. Let's look at 2000. Look at 2007, Bradshaw's rookie year. Let's look. Because Bradshaw got hurt, came back. Uh, I remember that Buffalo game. Let's see. Brandon Jacobs in 2007, 1,009 yards, 602 yards for Derek Ward. So basically, what I'm saying is you can have a stable of running backs. You can have a stable of running backs, definitely. You can have a stable and you can succeed with a stable. Shout out to you, Black Birdie Golf. Have a good night, and same to you. Stay safe, man. Um, Barkley should have took the deal at the buy. 100% Big Dash. Barkley should have took that deal. 12 and a half, man. Sign that. Sign it, man. And even if he goes somewhere else, man, it is what it is, man. If he can go to the Bills and he can be a superstar for the Bills and he can get paid 16 million, listen, good job. I'm not going to be mad at Saquon whatever he does because why wouldn't you take the money? But as far as if he wants to stay on the Giants, he should have took that 12 and a half because if they tag this dude twice, it's going to be a wrap. He's going to be tagged up 2 times and he's not going to get paid and he's risking injury. Like the tag is guaranteed, but after that, the rest of that is not good, man. Let's look at Spot Rack again. Let's look at NFL contract for running backs just to refresh it so I can go over these top salaries, top cap hits, I'll say, for running back for 2023. Because right now, Saquon is already towards the top of the league in cap hits. Not for 2023, of course, but for 2022, I think his cap hit was like 10 million. But let's not look at cap hits. Let's look at average. Christian McCaffrey, 16 million a year. Listen, Saquon is a beast. Saquon is a monster, but he is not the receiver that Christian McCaffrey is. Do you look at? He's not the receiver that Christian McCaffrey is. He's just not. Alvin Kamara, he's not the receiver that Kamara is, and it's just not. He's not that guy. When you look at Saquon on tape, people love to bring up his rookie year. And listen, this is not a hate Saquon stream. I just got to keep things honest because listen, this is business about to get done here. When you look at Saquon on tape, he has never run the routes that Alvin Kamara and that Christian McCaffrey run. That's why they got paid that much. When you look at actual running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, 15 mil. Way too much. That deal is literally like a PTSD kind of deal for NFL teams of what they don't want to do. So that's 15 a year. Dalvin Cook, 12.6. Derrick Henry, 12.5. Nick Chubb, 12.2. Joe Mixon, 12. Aaron Robinson, 12. That is where Saquon should be coming in at. Like, that's where you should be coming in at, around that 12. Now, if Saquon wants to say, let's go to 13 and a half, fine. The cap is going up. Let's go to 13 and a half. But I can't do more than that just because I can go into this draft right now and I could grab 2 running backs in this draft. I could take one in the 3rd round with our 2nd pick. I could take one in the 5th round. And I guarantee you, this running back in the 3rd round, this one in the 5th round, may not add up to Saquon Barkley to how good they are, but they probably replace his production in yardage if we upgrade the offensive line. But if I'm Saquon, I'm saying, listen, give me 12.5 million, give me 3 years, or give me 4 years, and give it fully guaranteed. That's what I would do. I would do 12 million a year, 12 to 13 a year, and I would be saying it wouldn't even be about anything else but making it fully guaranteed because they're going to try to get out if he starts slowing down. He needs to get that deal fully guaranteed, and that's going to do a lot more for the running back market than trying to reset it for the average per year. That's going to do a lot more for the market than trying to reset it for the average per year. I think Breida and Brightwell could definitely help out, But I think we would probably need a guy that's a little bit more, that's got a little bit more juice, in my opinion. I think we need one more guy. But I think if you want to add a guy to that rotation, I do think we could make it happen. But yeah, I mean, go ahead and yeah, if you're Barkley, like I said, get as much guaranteed money as you possibly can. Get as much guaranteed money as you possibly can, and let the chips fall where they may. Because listen, if you're Saquon, and I'm not even going to say it, but one more accident, uh, that's it. If you're on the franchise tag, these teams are not going to say, "Oh, you're on the franchise tag. This is what you would have gotten if you would have taken the deal. We're just going to pay you all the money." It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you got to get that money, as much as you can of it at that position. You got to get as much as you can, and that's what I would do. That's what I would do. But I'm not Saquon, man. If I can go somewhere else and somebody is calling my agent saying, "Listen, we'll pay 15 mil for Saquon," by all means, you're paying 15, 16. By all means, Saquon, go get your money, man. I'm not ever going to be telling somebody, "Oh, you went here, you left the Giants." No, get your money. I mean, get as much of it as you can. I mean, especially running backs, you might be pretty much winded down by the time you're 30. You might be finished at 30. Look at Todd Gurley. If he didn't get his money, you know where he would be at right now. He would not be looking good. Yeah, he probably is a guy that will be good on TV. It's just about if he wants to do that. But yeah, the Giants are the type of organization that they might want to. They might want to be able to keep a good relationship with him, because to be honest with you, Saquon has carried this team's name ever since Odell left. Saquon has been the face of the Giants as far as their star player. So he's carried this team. Saquon has literally carried this team. He has been the rock for this team. He has sold the jerseys for this team. He has been the guy that literally Saquon puts the stadium of the Giants on his back. Like the Giants stadium is literally on Saquon's back. And I'm looking for the Giants gif that has Saquon squatting the Giants stadium on his back. But for what he's done for this team, just as a player and as the face of the team, almost as if he's been the franchise quarterback, has been incredible. So I'm guessing the Giants don't want to just slap the franchise tag on him. I'm guessing they don't want to do that, because that would be like a huge slap in the face to a guy that's done all this for the team. Exactly. And he's the type of person that you want to be the face of your team. So tough deal. Tough deal. But again, as I said earlier, I'm going to throw this out again just because it's a cool feature, and I just want to see it in action, man. If any of you want to scan this, or click the link in the chat and leave a video comment that I can respond to about what on the Giants you want to talk about, that would be cool to test out that feature. Let's see. But yeah, I just really don't think that the Giants will want to just slap a tag on him like that because of all he's done for this team. Yeah, he was born in the Bronx. Yeah, left and went to Pennsylvania, but I don't think he was a Eagles fan. Hopefully, he wasn't. I don't think. I highly doubt that the Giants will open up renegotiation after a year. But here's the gift. There's the gift of him carrying the team on his back. But I highly doubt that they will open up renegotiation after a year. But I do think he should just try to get as much as he can. If his agent is telling him you can get 16, don't even talk to the Giants. Don't even talk to the Giants. I wouldn't talk to them because they're not giving you 16. And if you can get it somewhere else, take it. But if your agent is telling you, you can get blah, blah, blah somewhere else and you could possibly get tagged, I would just take the deal instead of getting tagged. Oh, yeah, he was a Jets fan. I remember that. Yeah. And I think Victor Cruz was a Cowboys fan growing up. At least his dad was a Cowboys fan growing up. How long do you think it will be to build a respectable linebacker core? A respectable linebacker core, I think we can do in 1 year, and it depends on a lot of things, but it really depends on Darian Beavers and if he's healthy. If he's healthy and if he's as good as advertised. If he's as good as advertised, then listen, that'd be great. That will be absolutely perfect if he's as good as advertised. Now, if not, then we got an issue because we got to go out and get two linebackers at least. And then if one of those guys gets hurt, it's just how the game goes. You got to have a guy that can step up. So I think we can put together a very good linebacker core. It's just all about the depth. We got to get a guy in free agency. We got to get a guy in the draft, and we probably got to get a second guy towards the end of the draft. And we probably want Beavers to be healthy. So the ideal scenario is that Beavers is healthy and good, and he's not even your first or second linebacker. That's how you get depth. That's how you get a guy that goes out and you have somebody that steps right in that is a good player. And that's the big thing. That's the linebackers, and that's also guys like Jelly Ellis in there and guys who like Henry Mondo in there that can't stop the run. Like those backup defensive tackles are among the worst in the league too. And it's not really their fault. Not really their fault. They were those backup defensive tackles were supposed to be guys who never played. We had, again, I talked about it earlier. We had Nick Williams out there and we had DJ Davidson out there. Two run stopping defensive tackles that both went out. Nick Williams came in for Leonard Williams, and DJ Davidson came in for Dexter Lawrence. And there was almost, in the run game, there was almost no drop off. But when those two guys went out, the floodgates opened and everybody was able to run the ball because Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence were getting tired because Dexter was playing almost every snap. Leonard Williams was playing through injuries, playing almost every snap. And then when they would come out, it's like literally they're running right at the defensive tackles. So that's another key position. Not saying we need to go out and take a defensive tackle first, second round, but we need solid guys. Maybe it's just bringing back Nick Williams and letting DJ Davidson come back. But we need guys that can play NFL football at defensive tackle because that was ridiculous. That was literally ridiculous the way that teams are able to run the ball right at the defensive tackles, right at Jelly Ellis, who's like 360 pounds or 350, something crazy like that. And Big Dad says he agrees with AJ. Sean said it too. What did AJ? Yeah, yeah. It pretty much was. Yeah, that was pretty much well known that Beavers was probably going to start if he didn't get hurt. Yeah, it didn't look like this coaching staff was a fan of Quincy Roche. I guess he just didn't fit their what they wanted to do, but it didn't look like they were a fan. I tried on one of these draft simulators and it was depressing. I don't think we need a bunch of positions. You look at this roster, let's go through it. Quarterback, I'll make it simple. I'm not going to turn this into a quarterback debate. So, quarterback, I'll just say we got it solidified for now. If you think we got quarterback solidified right now, running back, let's just say we bring back Saquon, we bring him back on the tag. We got that solidified. You look at tight end, you got Bellinger, you got Cager. That is passable. if you don't need a superstar at tight end to be a good team, I think tight end is good for now. Left tackle, you got left guard. So that's your first hole. Center, second hole. But if you get a really good center and put him beside Ben Bredesen, is that a bad left guard now? Is it? Who knows? Right guard, another thing. Glowinski is a multi-year deal player on this team, but at the same time, you could upgrade that position. So you probably think center, guard, center, guard, center, guard, not center, guard, center. You probably think guard, center, guard are three needs, but if you add one or two good players, I think that makes those other two players good. And nobody has all stars across their entire line but the Eagles, pretty much. Right tackle, that's a need in the fact that it wasn't good last year, but we're not going to go out and take a right tackle. We just got to hope that Evan Neal gets better. If he doesn't, then that's going to stink, and we're going to have to move him, and it's going to be another issue with tackle. Other than that, say we got right tackle squared away. Look at wide receiver. We need a wide receiver. Look at defense. The defensive line, we got our starters all squared away. We just need depth, and we need Aziz to stay healthy. Linebackers, we already talked about how much we need that. Corners, you got your starting corner. You need a second, and I think you have a couple of guys you feel are solid slot guys. Maybe not good, but solid. Julian Love's probably coming back. You got the two safety spots squared away. You got Pinnock there. You got Dane Belton there. So you got two backup safeties that are at least solid players. I think I went over every position so far. Punter, you might want to replace, but I think really your pressing needs are the interior offensive line, the linebackers, the interior offensive line, linebackers, and receivers. I think if you were to get good players at those three positions, I think your team would get exponentially better. And then the rest of your issues are depth. Leonard Williams has kind of just came out and said it. He said he doesn't mind taking a pay cut. So look for Leonard Williams to take a pay cut. I would just say it. Look for Leonard Williams to take a pay cut. His cap hit this year is $27 million. Look for him to take a pay cut. He's probably going to be taking a pay cut. So he knows what it is at this point in his career. He's not playing up to a $20+ million a year contract. He's going to probably take a pay cut. I just love Adoree. Adoree's a good cornerback to have. The dude can play zone. He can play man. Quick, reactive corner. Plays his technique well. Athletic. Really good corner. I'm not worried about Neal at all because at worst, if he doesn't pan out at right tackle, you kick him inside. Yeah, but that doesn't guarantee it, man. It doesn't guarantee it. It doesn't guarantee he'll be good, but hopefully he's good at right tackle. I think it's more than worth it to keep Landon Collins. I mean, you pay the guy peanuts to come back. I think it's worth it. Leonard's agent wants to, yeah, I mean, the agent loses money too. That's the crazy thing. How much of a pay cut will Leo take? Let's look at Leonard Williams right now. I'm not even going to go to Leonard Williams' page. I'm going to look at defensive line. And let's look at Leonard Williams has let's look at his cap hit for this year. Leonard Williams has a $32 million cap hit. That's the largest cap hit in the entire NFL. Not for defensive linemen. It's the largest cap hit in the entire NFL. $32 million for Leonard Williams, $30 million for Frank Clark, $29 million for Myles Garrett. And that's not average. That's their cap hit for this year. Leonard Williams will not play this year under a $32 million cap hit. If they cut Leonard Williams this year, which I don't think likely, but it's possible. If they cut Leonard Williams this year, his dead money, where's his dead money? Let's see. His dead money will be $20 million. So if they cut him, they would end up saving $12 million on the cap. And then who knows what they do with that money. So we're not cutting him. Exactly. And Loso, I just mentioned that a little bit earlier. You probably weren't here yet, but I mentioned that he already said he's going to restructure that or take a pay cut. So we're not going to have to deal with that. His dead cap is 20 million, like I just said. So we'd end up saving 12 if we cut him. So we're not cutting him, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's made the playoffs the first time in his career. He's been in the league since 2015. So he's not going anywhere. And I think this is possible. We might cut him down to 15. We might cut him down to 20. But I know he's not playing for more than 25 this year. Appreciate that, Loso. And I was just telling the chat I could look at some tape today if people want me to look at some tape on stream. Um, let's see. 8 million cut will be average. We're getting Shepard back, hopefully. Hopefully we do. He'll be like 1 million on the cap. I mean, I don't see a reason not to bring him back. Worst case scenario is he comes back and he gets hurt. I mean, I don't think it'll hurt the team as much because I think we'll have more players. We will still have to pay Galladay even when he's gone. No problem with that. I already did that. The more we cut him down, the merrier. Yeah, on the cut. Yeah. Shout out to Timothy. If the Cardinals hire Mike Kafka as head coach, will head coach Brian Dable take over offensive play calling duties for the Giants next year? That's a good question. I think it went really well with Brian Dable not calling the plays, but maybe he loses Kafka and he says, I'm not letting this happen again. I'm not losing my offensive coordinator after 1 year. I might as well just call plays. He might just call plays now. Or he could say it's worked so well, and I trust Shea Tierney to call the plays, so I'll do the same thing again. Hopefully Mike Kafka doesn't go anywhere. I don't remember what date, but if we cut Galladay at a certain date, yeah, it's post June 1st. Post June 1st, we save money. Love Shepard back. I want him back if he can play. I doubt Dable will call plays, but I feel like he would definitely have influence on the scheme for sure. Yeah, I mean, make no mistake about it. Kafka comes from the Andy Reid tree, but at the same time, this is Brian Dable's offense. This is Brian Dable's offense. The entire offense is Brian Dable's offense. Now, Kafka has a couple of Kansas City things sprinkled in. I would say between the 20s, it's all Dable. And then some of the red zone stuff is Mike Kafka. And then some of the third down, fourth down stuff, short area stuff is Mike Kafka. Kafka is just running the Buffalo offense. He's not essential. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Kafka is running the Buffalo offense, but he brought a lot of things that I think helped us in short yardage and in the red zone. I definitely agree he did that. Shout out to D Nice. He said, I hope all the coaches stay. We need that unity for another year. That's all I need. 2 years with your assistant coaches, y'all guys can split after that. You can split after 2 years. But leaving after 1 year, man, that stinks. The thing that comes to my head now is promote Shea Tierney from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator. He knows the system. And then, hey, Davis Webb, it's time to retire. Come be the quarterback coach. That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe there's somebody else that wants to be the quarterback coach that we don't even know about. But that's where I would go to first. Webb, quarterback coach, Shea Tierney, offensive coordinator. Yeah, like I said, this is Dable's offense. This is 100% Dable's offense. And then, or I'll say percentage-wise, it's 80% Dable, 20% Kafka for as far as the plays that you see in there. Couldn't have said it any better. You are for sure right. That's what nobody understands. But as I watch your breakdowns, I've realized that. I think you were talking about the Dable and Kafka stuff. If the Vikings hire Wink Martindale as defensive coordinator, will the Giants hire Brian Flores as assistant head coach and defensive coordinator? Um, Tim, the I don't think Wink Martindale has permission to interview as a defensive coordinator. I don't think we would grant permission for that. And then also on top of that, the Giants won't hire Brian Flores at all, simply for the fact that Brian Flores is actually suing the Giants right now for the discrimination lawsuit from last year. He's like I said, actively suing them, so he's not going to be working for the Giants anytime soon. Maybe after that case ends, maybe, I don't know. But the Giants are one of the teams that Brian Dable is suing. I mean, not Brian Dable, Brian Flores is suing because apparently Bill Belichick texted Brian Flores saying, "Congrats on the job." Wrong, Brian. Davis Webb sounds cool. Post June 1st. That works with Webb. Y'all excited for Danny's improvement with the second year in the system? If he has a similar improv like he did last year, we're good. Yeah, I think if Daniel Jones is able to move in the pocket the way he did this year and improve on that, I definitely think it helps. It helps a lot. And I think you were saying, I said improv, but I think you were saying improvement. But either way, if he's able to do that, if he's able to take that next step, I think we are good. And then there's that whole debate. I don't want to turn this into a Daniel Jones contract stream because I kind of did that last week. But the whole debate now about Daniel Jones is, I've always been saying give him a 3-year deal. But some other people are saying you have to give him a 5-year deal because you want to lower the cap hit every year. So that way you can just go ahead and sign other players to build around him. So if you give him a 5-year deal, you can have his cap hit be like $15 million. But if you give him a 3-year deal, his cap hit is going to be high those first 2 years and low the last year. The Pro Bowl looks like a kid's. I haven't seen the Pro Bowl. I don't even know what channel it's on, but I just haven't seen it. I would not mind if this team takes a step backwards this season under this regime because it will get better in the long run, especially for Jones. I think that's realistic to expect a step back, but I don't want a step back. But if we lose both of our coordinators, I mean, that's hard to continue to build after you lose both of your coordinators. Yeah, shout out to Barkley and Dex. Have they done anything today? Yeah, the turnovers have been good, Sam. What's Eli's take? He's at the Pro Bowl with Peyton. No idea. I give him a 5-year deal. Even if he stays like this, Mayor's not letting him go. Yeah, I've always been saying give him a 3-year deal, and you have the ability. If he stinks up the place this year, you can literally go draft a quarterback next year, have him sit for a year behind Daniel Jones, and then the next year take over as starter and release Daniel Jones the 3rd year. Now, if you do 5 years, you're going to have to keep DJ for at least 3 years as the starter. At Diggy546, I didn't have to read that, Diggy. If the Colts hire Wink Martindale as head coach, will the Giants hire Dan Quinn as assistant head coach? I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn just said that he's going back to the Cowboys. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn is locked into going back to the Cowboys. So we would have to hire. There's a ton of guys. I read some names earlier that are outside guys that will be solid D coordinators, but we also have a couple of inside guys: Jerome Henderson, Andre Patterson, Drew Wilkins. If he stays here, he's been with Wink for 12 plus years. So if he stays here, that's a favorite too. So there's some guys. Have no problem with quarterback sitting for a couple of years. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. How would I feel if we drafted Addison? He's awesome, and I feel like we save money. Yeah, if you take a look at my video on Jordan Addison, I think he's the perfect fit for our offense. I think there's no better fit in this drafted wide receiver for our offense. He runs all those routes that Stephon Diggs runs. He can get down the field. He can work the short area. You can throw him screens. You can run jet sweeps with him. He's good after the catch. He's good at tracking the ball. Every single thing. He's good at the line of scrimmage. Every single thing that you want in this offense, he can do, especially those crossing routes. He's really good at that. Hands catcher, everything. He's awesome, and I feel like we could save money and sign other key positions instead of targeting. Yeah, I don't think there's any wide receiver in free agency that I would want to sign. Just being honest with you all, the only wide receiver that I want to even that's already in the league that I want is Brandon Ayuk, and that's going to take a bunch of picks. It's going to take at least a first and a third, or first and a fourth to get him, and then we're going to have to pay him 25 plus million, probably. So that's probably not going to happen. And then also, he's got one more year before he even has his 5th-year option. So they probably aren't going to trade him until next year if they're going to trade him. Tim says, will the Giants retain defensive coordinator Wink next season? And that's the big question. If Wink wants to be back here, there's nothing that any other team can do to bring him back. If he doesn't, then and it's not even that he doesn't want to be back, but if he wants to accept a head coaching job somewhere, then that's what he's going to do too. So if they offer it to him and he accepts it, he's gone. Doesn't really matter what the Giants want. They can't block they can't block a promotion. And that's what I'm saying. He seems like a head coach of the defense, to be honest. First for Devontae Adams. I do that. I do that. I think Devontae Adams is that good, but I don't think they trade him for a first. I think we have to give up more than a first. D Nice, check out the channel. Check out the channel. I did and I'm telling y'all, YouTube blocked some of these videos I put out. I did a video on Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, probably your first or second cornerback that's going to be off the board, and then Jordan Addison. I did those two so far. I'm going to drop a video on Devon Witherspoon. I got my my deck of players so far. I got Keyshawn Butte. I got Jackson Smith and Jigba. I got Deion Henley, sleeper linebacker. I got Trenton Simpson. I got Drew Sanders. I got Jack Campbell coming up. Christian Gonzalez, Cam Smith, Joey Porter Jr. Ton of prospects I've already watched, and all I got to do is just do a quick voiceover on a couple of plays. Oh, no problem, D Nice. I'm telling you, YouTube hides my videos. They hide my videos for my subs, man. They hide them. No issues there, D Nice. You think Addison goes 13th overall? That's real possible. That is real possible. Second for D Hop. If it's only a second round pick, I'd do it. Now he has a huge cap hit and he wants a new deal, I think. But second round pick, I might do that. First, no, I won't do that. That's as high as I go as a second. I don't want to lose draft capital for a wide receiver. That's understandable. First for Cooper Kupp. I don't know. I had to think about that. Got to think about it. Matthew Stafford is good at getting guys inflated numbers. We already saw how that worked with Kenny Golladay, so we'll see. That's how I feel. To be honest, I just don't see the reward. It'd be a waste of needed caps. Yeah. Who's my Super Bowl pick? My brain is telling me the Eagles, but everything else is telling me the Chiefs. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs because we do not need the Eagles winning another Super Bowl. That gets them dangerously close to our number. Gets them way too close. After we bullied the Eagles fans for not having a Super Bowl, and now they're only possibly one Super Bowl away, and they're looking like they're putting together a really good team going forward. That is scary. That is scary because literally most of my life it's been like, oh, the Eagles have 0 Super Bowls. License plate guy throws up the 0 every chance he had. But now the Eagles got 1 and they might get 2. That would be bad. You don't want the Eagles getting close to tying us or passing. That's crazy. Let's see what else we got. Tim says, will the Giants trade the 25th pick and 2 future firsts for and 12th and select Young, 2nd overall from Alabama, and Hyatt, 12th overall? That will be a creative trade, Tim, but I don't think they move up for a quarterback. I don't think they move up for a quarterback, but that's probably what it would take to get those picks. It probably would take more than 2 future firsts to make them move all the way back to 25 and get their 12th pick. I think that probably would take 3 future firsts, and you probably had to throw in a third or a second too. Are there any colleges looking at Winker Kafka? Not that I know of. We are not drafting a young Daniel Jones. We are not drafting young Daniel Jones as our quarterback. Okay. Will we know about this coordinator thing in the next couple of weeks? I'm thinking the worst case scenario, you'll know about all of these things getting wrapped up will probably be done the Monday or Tuesday or when the Wednesday after the Super Bowl, you'll know. You'll know where everybody is. Mike Evans on a 1 or 2 year deal. If they cut Mike Evans, go sign him. But that's too much money. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Who's my sleeper pick? Maybe like a 6th-round pick. My sleeper so far. Let's see if I have any sleepers in my. I don't know if I've even watched my sleeper pick. And shout out to Nate Talks Football. Had him on here last week. And this is really his sleeper, but he's a guy that I've been looking out for. A.T. Perry is going to be a guy that probably goes in the 2nd or 3rd round, and I think he could be the best receiver in this draft. The dude is 6'3", long arms, like broke the record, I think, for wingspan. Soft hands, good route runner. Again, he's 6'3", gets off the line like he's 5'10", really good player. And that could be the sleeper as far as like a mini sleeper. As far as 6th, 7th round, I have not gotten anywhere close to that far. Only if Daniel Jones contracts fill. Yeah, I see what you mean, Tim. Y'all are going a little back and forth there. Hopefully the Chiefs beat the Eagles. Appreciate you for stopping by, man. Take care. Enjoy the what's left of the whatever they call the Pro Bowl now. Eagles are pretty stacked. I'm behind on this chat. What's worse, Eagles or Kadarius Toney? I root for Kadarius Toney to win 20 Super Bowls before I root for the Eagles to win 1. Pete Davidson is a fool. I can't even see. What channel? I don't know. I don't even know what channel it's on. Let's see if I even see it in the background or anything. Anyway, let's see what else we got in the chat. The Eagles are going to be trending down. Watch. Yeah, the Eagles have a ton of players they can't bring back. Some old players. You're right. But the thing is, the Eagles have 2 first-round picks. So they got 2 first-round picks, and they could trade back again because they don't have a ton of cap space. So they could possibly get a bunch of 2nd and 3rd rounders, and they could also get some future first-rounders too. So the way they're building that team, it's looking like they might be able to replace a lot of those holes that they're creating because they're not going to be able to pay guys. Love the content. Appreciate you, man. I'm from DC, so not too far from Virginia. If there's one thing our gym is good at, is drafting all the way through all the rounds. Nice of you to answer all the questions. Yeah, I mean, listen, especially off season, man. We got it. There's no point in ignoring questions in the off season. I mean, especially when I got 32 people in here. Not too much to follow. Yeah, check out A.T. Perry highlights. I'm gonna have a video coming out with Nate that we'll watch A.T. Perry's film and we'll break that down. Eagles not going away. Yeah, I don't think so. And appreciate that comment, Loso. Yeah, the Eagles aren't going away. The Eagles got way too many picks. They got the quarterback in place. Some people think the quarterback isn't going to be good going forward. I just don't agree with that. They got Slade going forward. Any collabs with Kush and KB? I talk to Kush pretty much almost every day on Twitter, but he's pretty busy with school right now. I'll imagine we'll probably do some breakdowns. I know KB does a lot of breakdowns. I might do a collab with him. I probably got a collab coming down the road, another one with Fireside Giants coming down the road. It's a ton of stuff. Draft stuff. I'll probably have a couple of streams like I did a couple of years ago with a ton of people on doing some mock drafts. But right now it's kind of too early to do a bunch of mock drafts. I'm a draft guy. I don't start researching the draft heavy until the off season. But even me looking at it, I would imagine most of the other Giants YouTubers they know some of the draft prospects, but they haven't watched them. So probably in about 2 months, you'll see some mock drafts on the channel, some live stream mock drafts like we used to do. But for now, probably be slow on the draft stuff. We have a good GM now. I think he's hardworking. He started his career in the ticket office for the Panthers. Yeah, got a crazy story. He did start off in the ticket office. What if they give Hurts 50? They might. I mean, they might have to. If they want to break the bank and they said the deal's going to be crazy, I remember seeing that the deal was going to be crazy, then yeah, they might have to give him 50. Especially if they wait until after Burrow's deal, if they wait until after all these other quarterbacks deal. And that's what I'm saying with the Daniel Jones thing. Like, if you think there's any shot, if you think that Daniel Jones is a top 17 quarterback and you think with weapons he can be a top 10 guy, just pay the dude $37 million and just be done with it. People are upset. They don't want to pay him more than 25. That's not realistic. It's just not going to happen. Pay the dude 30-something million, get it over with, and then you got him locked in. And by the time this offseason ends, Daniel Jones will literally be like the 16th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Literally like the 16th highest paid quarterback. So there's no reason to just to draw this out. That's what happened with Dak Prescott, and that's why they're upset with him. That's why they're upset with Dak, because they waited forever to pay him, and he wasn't worth the contract that they had to end up paying him. If they would have paid him earlier, they'd be good. If you think the guy's going to be on your team and you want him to be on your team in 3 years, pay the dude, because that money is going to go up every year. Like I said, them picks and the way they've been drafting, if you got the trenches going on, if the Eagles go out and they take Christian Gonzalez in this draft and they get a good defensive lineman at 32 or at 31, it's over because they lose Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. They're plugging in a new rookie defensive lineman that's good. They lose James Bradbury. They're plugging in a good rookie cornerback that's good. They've been hitting everywhere across the board. They got a ton of young offensive linemen. They keep plugging those dudes in. Yeah, he's going to want 40, but listen, give the guy, even if you got to give him 40, I don't want to do that. I want to give him I would have given him 33 at the bye week, but the price went up. You might have to pay the dude 37, 38. You might have to go to 40, but if you don't get a long-term deal done this offseason, and this dude goes out there next year and you get him a wide receiver and he's throwing the ball all over the place and he's running all over the place and he's looking like a superstar, then you're royally screwed because you lost about $15 million a year in negotiation. Because after that franchise that you throw on him is over, he's going to be asking for $55 million. He's going to be asking for $55 million because let's look at the quarterbacks on Spot Rack. Let's check it out. Check out the average. Aaron Rodgers, $50 million. Russell Wilson, $48. Kyler, $46. So guess what, guys? Joe Burrow is up. Joe Burrow is going to be getting a deal soon. Justin Herbert's going to be getting a deal soon. Lamar Jackson should be getting a deal soon. Who knows? Jalen Hurts, we just talked about. So that's 4 guys. 4 guys who probably all get over 50. 4 guys who probably all get over 50 million. So 51, 52, 53, 54. And I don't think DJ will be an elite guy, but if he does, you're gonna have to pay the dude 55 instead of 37. You would draft a quarterback, and I don't have no issue with that. That's your plan. Um, I hope we get him to sign. Yeah, I want him to sign for. That'd be perfect if we can get him for 33. I'd do that. We could do 37. I just say, listen, do it. Anything under 40, just do it because the first of all, the cap is going up, and it will take up less and less percentage of the cap no matter what. Second of all, again, the price is going up for starting quarterbacks. If you tag this good dude and you push back the money, you're going to have to pay big money down the road. What area and free agency? And this is a good question. You guys answer down in the chat. Where do you think we should target in free agency? I think free agency is always the best spots to get interior offensive linemen and linebackers. Now, whether that is a starting linebacker or not, like a star linebacker or not, we'll find out. But interior offensive linemen and linebackers, they're the cheapest guys. They're the cheapest guys. They're not going to cost you 20 million. They're not going to cost you 17, 18 million. Go out and get you an interior lineman and a linebacker, two guys you feel like are starters, who are solid starters at the very least. You do that, you got two starters. Two starters at guys where we don't have starting level spots. And then on top of that, you go out and get your depth, slot corner, your depth tackles. I think we got some tackles coming up that they like that are already on the team. But you get your depth guys in free agency. You get two starters at those two spots that I mentioned. Big Dash is saying cheap wide receiver. I got to look at that wide receiver market. I'll pull it up. But I'm pretty sure I don't like that wide receiver market at all. I'd rather just go through the draft, in my opinion. But let me pull it up. It might be somebody there. Aguilar, Sterling Shepard, DJ Chark. Chark too much money. Cobb is 1,000 years old. He's 32, but in receiver years and in football years, he's finished. Marvin Jones. He's 32. Do you really want to pay Marvin Jones? He's not going to come cheap. Julio Jones, he's done. Byron Pringle, that's a joke. Alan Lazard, he wants like $20 million a year, and he's a wide receiver for. Jacoby Myers, solid wide receiver, but we got a bunch of Jacoby Myers on our team. Juju Smith, no thanks. AJ Green, he's 1,000 years old. Jarvis Landry, another guy who looks like he's finished. There's nothing there. Paris Campbell is a guy that some people have been talking about. He had 900 yards last season. Let's look at Paris Campbell. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Paris Campbell is the only guy that looks like he'll be a good signing. But again, do you want to pay for Paris Campbell? I would rather running back with the wide receivers on our roster right now. You said Paris Campbell, yeah. But is Paris Campbell going to come cheap at 900 yards last season? Is he? Yeah, is he? Because if not, then that'll be tough. Because I'm thinking Paris Campbell's going to win at least 10 million. But like I said, I'm thinking we go out, we bring back Sterling Shepard. Maybe we bring back Darius Slayton. Maybe. I don't really care either way, to be honest with you. But we bring back Shep. He's going to be a depth guy. You got Wan'Dale coming back. You got Isaiah Hodgins coming back. You got, take this with a grain of salt, but you got Colin Johnson coming back. Who knows what he'll provide, but you got him coming back. But I think you got Wan'Dale, you got Hodgins, you got Slay, and you got Shep. If you bring back those two. So I think you got a bunch of threes. Shep is a 2. I think Wan'Dale is a 2. And Hodgins is a possible 2. So you got 4 solid guys that I think if you win a note in that season with these 4 guys, and as your guys, you're like the receiving core isn't horrible. And then you add on a wide receiver you think can start at wide receiver one for us. And then you add on another wide receiver in the mid rounds and may the best man win. May the best man win. If somebody has to get cut for it, for you adding on that second wide receiver, so be it. 2.5 million market value. Those market values are always wrong, Big Dash. And to prove it to you, prove it to you, I don't know why Spot Rack always does that with their market value, because from what I've seen, they've been pretty wrong. But let's look at it. Barkley, his market value was what? I forgot what they had that at. Market value, they got him at 12 point. That's actually accurate. That's actually accurate. Let's see. There was somebody's market value that I remember seeing that it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. But I just think Paris Campbell is a guy that is going to want some money. I don't know. You could be right, Big Dash. If they got that part about Saquon right, then maybe they got the Paris Campbell thing right. If we can get him for 2.5 million, bring him in. And I would just do that and not have to pay Darius Slayton, because bringing back Darius Slayton, you probably got to pay 3-4 million. So bring back Darius Slayton, 3-4 million. You got Paris Campbell, probably got to pay him what, 6 million, 7 million. I don't know if I want to do that. Now, if it's 3-4 million, then I would do it. Always like Cordell Patterson. Yeah, he's just been solid wherever he's been. I love Colin Johnson coming out. I wanted to take him in the 5th round the year that he came out, and we didn't get him. And then when he ended up on the team, I was so excited. I was happy that he finally ended up on my team, and then he got hurt. It is what it is. But probably if we had Colin Johnson, we probably didn't bring in Isaiah Hodgins. And I think he's going to be a wide receiver here for a while. Not that he's going to be a star, but I think he'll be here for a while. Should have picked up the 5th-year option. But even still, you will be pushing the money back a year. But yeah, it will be a lot less stressful if you didn't have your starting quarterback and your starting running back on contract, with expiring contracts in the same offseason. And then the following year, you got your left tackle. So, tough stuff. And that's what I'm saying. I think Wandale is a 2, and I think Hodgins is a 2. So if you add a 1 to that, I think your receiving core gets much better. And then you got Shep as your 4th guy. And then you probably add another receiver late. So I think you get a ton of depth if you bring back Shep. I think that will help. Slayton is just icing on the cake, but Slayton cannot be your second or first wide receiver. Because think about it, when Shep is healthy, he's a wide receiver too. I don't know if he's still going to be that guy because he's coming back off another injury. But when he's healthy, he looks like a wide receiver too. So you go from having a team full of wide receiver 3s to a team full of wide receiver 2s, and then you sign a 1. You draft a 1. And I think they'll also probably try to bring back Richie James, and he'll fight for a roster spot. And we'll see if he wins. Facts. That's true too. That's true. But I think the Giants, they're I don't think receiver is as big a need as linebacker, because we don't have a starting linebacker on our team, in my opinion, as an off ball linebacker. But we have multiple 2s and 3s on our team right now, and we will probably at the end of this free agency period. But you add one wide receiver 1 to this core, and it's a good core. You add one linebacker 1 to this linebacker core, it's still a bad core with a good linebacker, with one good linebacker. I would say that, and I mean, you add linebacker, pretty good. You add a solid guy, bring back Darren Beavers, and then a number one linebacker. That'd be good. And I started watching Jack Campbell a couple days ago. Jack Campbell looks like a pretty solid linebacker. He's a big dude, but he moves pretty well for his size. Better in pass coverage than I thought. But I haven't gotten to do a deep dive. But from what I saw, he looked pretty good. We cannot set the edge to save our lives. Yeah, it's the edges, and it's the edges sometimes with Kayvon, and then sometimes it's just the linebackers are supposed to be able to get out there, and they just can't do it, man. They just can't do it. Those off-ball guys. And it's like Jalen Smith, week 1 and 2 was flying all over the place. After week 2, he was shot. He was finished. Yeah, we'll have a huge class. Man, Noah Sewell. Noah Sewell to me is a high floor guy. I think he's a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Noah Sewell. There is there's a YouTuber that does a lot of film breakdowns on college players. His name is Top Billin, and he did a video on Noah Sewell. And I saw where he was coming from. He showed Noah Sewell blowing up a lot of plays, being at the right place, always finding the ball. And I think that's what Noah Sewell is. And he's really, at this point in Noah Sewell, like looking at him as a player, he's either a guy that's going to be a like a Hall of Fame player because he's just a guy that always finds the football, or he's going to be a guy that just can't play in this league because he's not quick enough going side to side. One or the other, in my opinion. One or the other. When I say can't play, I'm just saying he's not going to be a star. So, interesting prospect in my opinion, but I wouldn't want Noah Sewell. I want a sure thing. Manti Te'o, yeah, they play very similarly, but Manti Te'o looked pretty good at some spots, and also that dude kind of just lost his confidence. Like in real life, we all know how that was going. And they liked McKeithen before he got hurt as a swing tackle. So poor Matt Parrott never panned out for us. Boom, that's my guy. Deion Henley, that's my guy. 100% film session will be out probably sometime this week on Deion Henley. That's my number one linebacker as of so far. So far, that's my number one guy. Let me see if before I misspeak, do I have anybody ahead of him? Yeah, Deion Henley is my number one linebacker. He's my number one guy. Right now, Drew Sanders is probably my number 2 guy. Trenton Simpson, I'm not that high on, but Henley, Sanders, they look like keepers to me for our pick at 25. But I haven't seen anybody mock him in the first round, but I think Henley is a first round linebacker from what I've seen. But we here at 6:00. I'm gonna start winding it down. If nobody has anything they want to add, probably start taking the last couple points in the chat, and then I'll probably get out of here. Let's see if anything going on with that Pro Bowl. Nothing going on with the Pro Bowl. I'll get to that Giants pride. Let me see. Can I even check the Pro Bowl score? Is that even something that's possible? No, it's not. Anyway, Kayvon scares me of being a bust more than Evan Neal. I don't think so because Kayvon on a play-to-play basis usually wins more of his reps than loses. So I wouldn't say that, but I would say that Kayvon is setting himself up to be more of an issue. Not an issue. Let me not say an issue. I don't want to call him an issue. But Kayvon is setting himself up to be criticized much more than Evan Neal. Because Evan Neal doesn't talk. All he talks about is I need to get better. I need to do better. Evan Neal is exactly what you want out of a football player in New York. Kayvon Thibodeau is what you want in New York, but if Kayvon Thibodeau isn't a superstar, he's going to get hate from the fans and the newspapers because the way that this dude talks is like he's that guy. If he's not that guy, if it's the last drive of the game and Kayvon Thibodeau isn't in the backfield every time and he's not making those plays, then he's going to get criticized much more than everybody else because he talks much more than everybody else about how good he is. So he can't just be a solid player. He can't just be a good player. He has to be a dominant player to avoid, getting all that criticism here. Myles Garrett, that's man, you do not want to see a player get hurt in the Pro Bowl. Hopefully it won't be too bad for Myles Garrett and he can come back and not, fall off too much. Yeah, DeMarvion, I haven't gotten to watch that much of him, but he looks solid. But I've seen him get thrown around a couple times, like you said, kind of slim. Do I think the Giants should put the non-exclusive tag? 100%. If they do a tag, then do the non-exclusive one. But I think they should just pay him. But again, if they want to do the tag, if somebody, as much as I've talked about paying Daniel Jones 37 and just extending them and all of that, if somebody wants to give up 2 first-round picks, they want to give up 2 first-round picks for Daniel Jones, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just do it. You want to pay him and you want to give up 2 first-round picks, by all means, give up the 2 first-round picks and do what you got to do. Take those 2 first-round picks. It's like take those 2 first-round picks. I mean, I can't fight that because again, if y'all want to give up 2 first-round picks for Daniel Jones, just do it. We can find a way to replace him at that point. Kayvon's skill is catching up to his heart. Hopefully it does. What's going on about the title, Jason? If you're saying like, why are you talking about not the title? Why are you not talking about the 2 coaches? I started that off at the beginning of the stream. Second half of the stream, I just kind of opened it up. So if you want to check out what I said at the beginning, you could always go back and watch. Talked a bunch. I mean, I can't recap it all right now, but if you want to go back and watch, definitely check that out. But we definitely addressed those beginning parts. Kayvon needs to stop skipping leg day. I'm telling you, Big Dash, a lot of people go to the gym and they literally do not, they don't. Kayvon obviously has to squat because he's a football player, but a lot of people literally go to the gym and they don't even squat. They don't do any leg work. And you see them start to really get big up top and their legs like they got skinny legs. I don't get why people do that. That looks crazy. Kayvon sometimes look clumsy out there, lost some confidence in him. Yeah, fair. He's had some times where you wish he played better, but I just think the biggest thing with him is he has to raise his play to superstardom, or he won't. He's just not going to be it's going to be tough for him here. Yeah, but Evan Neal had balance issues in college. Evan Neal just got to work on his footwork of being able to get to his spot quicker. But at the same time, Evan Neal was dealing with 2 injuries: a leg injury and a shoulder injury. I think and a forearm injury at the same time. So it's tough. So we'll see if he can bounce back from that. Let's see. Anything else? Trying to pull my comments back up. Here we go. Evan Neal need to go to yoga or ninja training. Yeah, Evan Neal needs to take ballet or something. Yeah, that's what happened with Aziz. Aziz got stronger, but that weight, his body wasn't used to that playing weight, and he got hurt all year. You said you wouldn't trade Jones for those 2 firsts. Hey man, I respect that, but I might have to do it. I might got to do it. But listen, it could backfire. But I think adding 2 first rounds to this team, even if we had a worse quarterback than DJ, we still are able to kind of really take off. If anything, a lot of this stuff is going to happen this offseason, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, definitely, definitely would be. It's going to be an exciting offseason. Exciting, actually, in a good way because we're coming off of a playoff year. But hopefully, we keep both of these coordinators. Man Ray says AT did ballet. I don't know. Did he? I remember hearing something like that too. He's about to be doing. I don't want to see Daniel Jones on any commercials until he throws. And this is no shade to Daniel Jones. No shade to Daniel Jones. But I don't want to see Daniel Jones on any commercials until he throws 25 touchdowns. I just don't want to see it. I want to see this dude just continuing to do what he does. But what can I do? Again, I can't tell a man how to get his money, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I think people underestimate a quality center. That's a good point, Steve. A lot of times people kind of consider center like a throwaway position. Like you just grab a center here, you just grab a center there, which sometimes does happen. Sometimes teams do luck out and they just find a solid, like we found David Boss that the Super Bowl year. He was a good center for us. But also, a good center can be a solid guy for you, but an elite center usually always translates to a really good offensive line as a whole. Like an elite center, you look at the elite centers, every single time you got a guy like that, their entire offensive line seems to be good. Every single time. I don't want to see him do the gritty NBA. I don't know, man. That was crazy. That was crazy. The Giants didn't show up. They didn't have that intensity. Giants pride, I did not even look at that all 22. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it real with you. I did not look at it. I didn't even look at it. I know Talking Giants probably looked at it, but I didn't look at it. I was not happy about that game. I was not happy. Hurts when the car shucked. Oh, man. Let's see. All right. So, like I said, I'm gonna jump out of here. I'm gonna hit a couple of last second comments. Me too. I'm avoiding all of it. Yeah, I'm not ever gonna watch that all 22. To be honest with you, maybe I will this all season, but I don't see it. I don't feel the need to. Bachman left and didn't want to come back for some reason and didn't get signed by another team. That's your loss, dude. You sat on the couch all year when you could have been playing. I mean, that's your loss. But I'm gonna get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Appreciate y'all keeping on here, staying on here for 2 hours, 2 hours and 13 minutes. See y'all next week. Might have a guest on next week, might not. But it's gonna be a fun off season. It's gonna definitely be a fun off season. Stay on the lookout for the draft content. I got a Keyshawn Butte video already recorded. I just got to chop it up. And like I said, Henley video will be dropping sometime this week, probably too. And we'll keep our eyes. We'll keep our eyes on this Mike Kafka, Wink Martindale stuff. You guys have a great rest of the day.